Alright guys, I think this is playing. Okay. So you guys are wondering about the CAD, right? I didn't start with music right off the bat this time. Because you're wanting to know if you should enter the CAD or not. So looking at it, I mean the news push. So the retail sales were pretty off today. So I'll talk about that briefly. There's no rush to jump into this yet, guys. And so let's pull up the news here. So the core retail sales was well under expectations today. The 0.0 when the expectation was a pretty large gain. So this was a pretty big surprise, and that's what's causing the CAD to fall on most pairs. And this is the third or fourth time that we've had negative numbers. So this is some of the news. The Canadian dollar is now depreciating at a faster pace versus the American neighbor, lifting the US CAD fresh tops above 1.33 and figure. The inflation figures, retail sales have come short in expectations today, and it's been this way for a while. So it may continue. I'd expect it's Friday, guys. It is Friday, and right now the CAD has broken through pretty much all the uh, pretty important uh, levels that I would consider, especially this one at 1.33. So we've closed above that, and it's a pretty good close above that level. Uh, this is a pretty clear break. The next candle might show us a little bit more indication of where this is going. It does have 30 minutes left. If this candle closes above the support at 33, 1.33, I would go ahead and buy. If you guys are anxious, I would probably still go for a long here uh, rather than a short. Why? It's just because there's not a lot of support of resistance where it currently is. If you scroll back, okay, okay, so this is where the last time that level was hit, the 33. And right now we're at 33.3. So nothing really significant in that area. If I were to guess where it was going, I would gather it would extend. A lot of times when you see this big push like this happen, there's a pullback. But I think this will extend further into higher levels. My profit expectation is the R3 support resistance at 43 pips profit. So I would take that if I were taking this position. Now, typically, I don't like entering trades at this time. I know that you guys are looking at some advice on that. I do like to enter on the pullback and then get the continuation. Now, there's just a lot of times when entering at, say here, it's a pretty good, it's a little more likely that you could enter right at the top and then it falls back in its retracement and then it continues. So you'd have to wait for that retracement to happen on the swoop and then you get a chance. But maybe not the best place to enter, although I do think that the USD CAD will continue. The news has been pretty negative overall, and I think that through the rest of today, I believe that will continue. Okay, let me see here. Oh, volume please up, Ryan. Thank you. Okay. Why did my headset maybe not as good as my last one when it comes to this stuff. It's always quiet, huh? All right, well that's probably louder now. Let me just check the volume. It's always quiet, huh? It seems pretty loud for me, at least when I listen to it. So, all right, guys. Well, I was gonna play some music today, but you seemed pretty anxious, so I skipped it. Um, and well, we're in the aftermath now of taking my losses. Um, yeah, it sucks. It sucks having losses like that. Uh, but as you guys can see, I pulled my losses right about here. This is where I closed out for a loss on my trades right before the cutback. Now, it wasn't a huge cutback by any means, and then the continuation. So the 5.5% loss that I took would have easily been 7% if I didn't close it out earlier. So it would have been a lot worse. And so I'm glad I closed out when I did. It was a preventative. I did think, and I even said on the forum that I did think that the euro US dollar would continue down, and it did. Uh, I did take. Some of you guys thought that I took a revenge trade on the UCAD. It wasn't necessarily a revenge trade. It was a decent trade. The idea behind it, since I thought the euro was going to fall. Um, but it did fall. It did fall a bit. It fell 35 pips, but not enough for my profit. And the problem is during that time, I started seeing some indication for a pullback on most Euro USD and the crosses. And so I did end up closing that out for just a small profit. It did fall later on, about 35 pips, and then the CAD news came out, and then it shot up. So if I would have held on to that, I would have been in trouble. The trade I took today was quite nice. Well, let's see if I can show you a picture. So this is when the order was placed. You can see, uh, and this is right before it took profit. So I'm going to load it on chart now. So you can see where my entry was. It doesn't necessarily show where my exit is unless it's just completely blocked by the candle. Let me see if I can. There we go. Okay, so you can see where my exit was, my entry, exit. This was about 30 pips profit, just about 30 pips profit. This trade was in pretty quickly. Was entered and exited pretty quickly as well, and it was a good trade. Came out with 30 pips. So finally, have my first the start of a recovery path, I guess, for me. So this is what my account looks like right now. Looks pretty ugly, but I'm not gonna lie. Luckily, I'm not in huge loss at this point, just 1.338%. So it's basically like I'm starting my account over again. It really sucks, having such good results and then gradually over time going into the downside. Uh, and it's hard because you wonder why the results were so good in the beginning and then all of a sudden you started losing. I understand why. It's because I'm a counter trend trader and markets started trending really heavily. In particular, the first ones to do that were the UJ and EJ pairs. Those are the ones I had losses on quite a bit. This was the pound. This last one was the pound, and then this one was the Euro USD. And yeah, there wasn't a whole lot I could do. I was doing the same thing I was doing before. I was taking counter trends when I was in the past for 4 months without any losses. And then the trends started happening, and they started happening in a big way. And so the market started changing. It started changing, and it started changing over the course of 4 months. which is a pretty long period. So it wasn't just a small phase that I could get out of, and we went back to standard conditions, and then I would, make my way higher. But it's been staying that way for a while, and so it's causing me to have to adapt and change a bit to this market for as long as it's staying this way. Um, it's not the end of the world. 1.38%. I can make that back. The highest point was 13.38%. And if I'm wise and have a bit of luck as well, I could probably get back to that point in 3 to 6 months' time. All right, so the 11.67% loss. That's my worst losing month in 8 months, I think, or 10. I think it may be something like that. Uh, and you know, just one of those, months. Okay. So back to the CAD. Let's see what it's up to. All right. So it's pretty much sticking into where it was. We can go down to the lower time frames to see if we can get any hints. Nothing with price action right now. The CAD is known to do this sometimes. I've seen it do this where it will break past a level in a pretty clear way, and then it will come back down and actually make a pretty big retracement. The numbers were pretty bad though, but the move was quite large. I mean, we're talking about a 100 pip move. Um, it's hard to say if that's going to be it for the CAD today. I still think that there's more in this on the upside. Um, that's just my call, I guess. Reading some comments right now. I'm still not trading the pound right now. I've been considering jumping back into it, but not quite sure yet. My account looks like a trading chart. Yeah, it's a little bit. Uh, it looks like how it's been. The Euro USD has been going. Actually, it's pretty close. It's was going up and it had some choppiness, and then it's been heading back down in a big way. Um, it's really unfortunate that I got caught in two really large moves. In particular, the pound. So right before the flash crash, the pound started falling in a big way. Took that loss, and then the Euro US dollar started taking a huge, one of the bigger pushes in months, down without much retracement. I mean, it was so big that Viper was able to even get out of that push as well. I did close out my UJ and uh, what was the other trade I was in? Oh, the UCAD trades the other yesterday, which looked like it was a good choice as the retracement has happened and is happening on the UJ. Now I would enter here, and I just missed my my entry. Wonderful. I might get another chance though. So I'm looking to take a position on the daily S1 here at 103.5. I'm actually going to place a buy limit there. Um, Nothing else is looking substantial right now. Now I'm in on the odd USD. I am in on the long side, looking at this trend moving up. I'm looking for some support. My initial support area was here. That it wasn't obeyed. It did go down and swoop down and it get pretty close to my take profit point, but has since moved down. Now I'm looking for the support at 0.758 for a bounce there, and then the trend to continue. So far, we haven't gotten there yet. We're still about 17 to 20 pips away. Now, the trade that I mentioned the other day, I even marked, same kind of situation as the odd USD, where there was a push down, a slight push up. Now, this trade would have been really close to take profit. It might even have hit. So my initial take profit for this level 79.39, 339 was 27 pips. And the next day, the daily pivot point changed, and I would have lowered the take profit level a bit. Now, if the spread was covered or not, I'm not really sure. You could potentially still be in this trade. CAD, Japanese yen, same story. CAD getting crushed here. The CAD Japanese yen has probably moved more than any of the other pairs right now. Any of the other CAD pairs. Well, actually, no. The CAD USD has moved the most. All right, it has broken all the support levels so far. It could retrace at any point. I do think, like I said before, that it will continue, and it looks like it may be starting that right now. The odd CAD is at an interesting spot right now. The support resistance, the resistance at 1.015 could hold. We have a double top. The current candle would show if it closes below the R1, that could lead to potentially more on the downside. But the CAD, remember, like I said before earlier, it will continue to rise. So this might still be a pretty good place to think about entering a short on the counter trend side. Okay. I wouldn't mess with the Euro CAD yet. It's still in kind of an interesting range here. I'm gonna sneeze, sorry. Pound Japanese yen I considered going in on, but I just still didn't want to touch it yet. I'm glad I haven't yet. It's still pretty much on the downside, and these taking longs would be considered against the trend in my opinion. So I won't be doing that. So the UJ is close to entering my trade. So what I'm looking at is the long term on the 4-hour, on the daily, to see what's happening on the UJ, and I still think that it's going to be on the upside. We did have a break of the last swing level. The 1-hour, the 4-hour is definitely up. Although it's starting to get a little messy in here though, where we're not really sure exactly where this is going at this point. I think the USD still will remain strong, which should help support this position if I do happen to get in. Okay, let's see if there's any comments. If not, I probably won't take a lot of time today, guys. Yeah, NC, because, you know, I just had a loss. It sucks. You know, I don't mind talking with you guys and doing a stream, even with having losses. It's part of the game. I'm here to help educate and guide you guys and answer questions. And if I'm profitable, that's an added perk on top of it. You guys know that I have a profitable history over the long term. I've been struggling lately, yeah, and that's pretty obvious. I plan to get back on my feet. I've already started down that track. I may even include using some of my EAs as well. As you can see, my RMI indicator EA is still going well in testing. I'm still trying to find the best settings for that to potentially use here in the next week to add to help the recovery of my account. Okay, the NCAD. So yeah, tacos. I'm not sure if you're still holding on to this position, but I actually did buy. I took a long position with the trend here. Saw this moving up and I took a position at the S1 level right before the continued push back up. So I don't know if you're holding on to this. The resistance point at or the resistance at 0.09535. It's you want to see a couple candles. So like this current candle, you want to see it fall back below that level again. Right now, it's looking like it wants to break above. Like I said before, I don't think that the push on the CAD is done yet, and as long as that's not done, this could just continue to break. But if you see a wick and a body of the candle close above that 0.9535 about, then you could have seen more on the downside. But right now, it's not looking very great for holding onto a short position. You need to be watching for the next levels to see when a good place to potentially basket if that's what you plan to do. Um, it is Friday. This could continue through the rest of the day, or it could slow down, and you could maybe hold on to it for next week to see what new news comes out to help, uh, I guess, to help your trade out. Thanks, NFX. Yeah, I'm not too discouraged, guys, but it's the recovery process can be long and it can be frustrating at times too. Um, and especially when you miss trades like this. Um, and that would have been a really like basically a perfect opportunity for a position. And it's bouncing right off of it for 30 pips. But those things can happen. Sometimes you miss them. The US dollar Swiss franc is looking pretty good for a bounce down, which means the euro could have a recovery on the upside before long. The AUD USD is continuing to go down, and uh, I'm looking at the support at another support level for a reentry. But yeah, I'll keep on going. The recovery process will be long because it's wise not to take higher risk trades. There's some possibility that I might do that on the best positions that I think that I could do, or that look the best. There's potential I could jump in a little extra risk to help the recovery process. But those potentially will be rare. At this point, I'm going to be just doing my standard risk, looking for a few more pips profit than I typically do, and moving with the trends, at least from now until things become a little bit more stable. And I Apothecad, I don't have a lot of view on gold because my broker doesn't trade gold, so I can't even bring up the chart unless I found some other broker to go to. But since I don't trade it and really don't have the opportunity to at Oanda and as a US trader, I can't really even really trade gold uh, through a broker like this anyway. So not the person to ask. Okay. Anything else? I'll be keeping this pending order in for a while, at least till the price reaches my take profit point. If it does decide to bounce down, then I will my pending order will execute. I plan on holding some trades over the weekend, at least the one that's currently in on the odd USD. Other than that, I'll check YouTube real briefly. Let's see. Okay. I happen to a little bit agree with you, Mario, on YouTube. He says losing is part of the game, and currently the whole financial world is going towards the biggest crash of them all. No, so unexpected things may happen more frequently. Uh, yeah, there is turmoil in the world right now. I kind of feel like it's like the world recession that's happening right now. Uh, and so everybody is being very cautious with the steps that they make. I mean, it's pretty obvious, especially in regards to the Fed and how they're holding off on rates. And China has a lot to do with that, and so does Europe and the election on top of that. So there's a lot of factors that are being placed that can really cause um, the financial markets to be stressed. I'm going out to lap dance, dude. I, I guess I don't get the reference. I see what you mean. I get the reference now. Sun Tea. I just saw that. I'm not sure if I go for that tacos. Not quite for me. Google lap dance. I think I'd rather not to Google that. That's funny. Yeah, I won't be withdrawing anything. I'll just keep going. What can I say? I'm a boring person. I've been married for 8 years. Um, I sometimes will play video games. Uh, but I enjoy spending time with my wife, going on trips, going uh, watching Netflix shows and stuff like that. So I'm not somebody that's like always going out to like strip joints and stuff like that. Yeah, but who knows? uh, yeah. All right, guys. I think that's probably going to be it for me today, for this weekend at least. We'll pick things up at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Sorry, not tomorrow, on Monday. Um, before I before I leave, looking at the 15-minute time frame on the CAD, uh, this right here, not looking good. It looks like like the push might be trying to die out here. It could be faking us out. That this initial push up is done, and there's going to be a pullback. I wouldn't be really surprised if the pullback started already. It's only 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would expect that this would continue a bit more for the next couple of hours and then have a pullback at that point. Uh, so a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky right now on the UCAD. So play your cards carefully. My bias is definitely on the uh, long USD CAD. All right, and before I go, the odd CAD, it looks like this double top may hold. At least it has potential to, with this current inside candle. Also closing below the daily R level at 1.0135. So this would be a pretty decent counter trend trade. Do I want to take it? I don't know. Ooh, it's very questionable. This is a triple top, technically. We have the area back there and here. I'm in on the CAD already, but it is a buy. Hmm. I'm just sitting here trying to decide what I'm doing. I'd be looking for about 30 pips. Well, it looks like I might be too late now. I might have missed my entry. Well, I guess I don't have to decide this at the moment. I might just wait it out. Unfortunately, the UJ is going into my favor, even though I didn't enter the trade and I missed it. That happened. Let's see how soon after. Okay, so yeah, I just barely missed that 35. I think I looked at it 5 minutes after that happened. I'll consider this. I'm gonna think about it a little bit more before I enter. Did you sell the UC? FX Magician? I think it's on its way up again. Like I said, I think it will push a bit more for the next couple hours potentially before it heads back down. But this area looks like it could be showing some resistance up there. We'll see if it breaks through now. I think I'm going to take this position. I still like it, and it actually uh, it's kind of a hedge too. I mean, it's not a really great one. Um, you see that I'm buying the odd against the cat here, and it's selling, selling it. So I mean the odd USD. So the odd USD I'm buying, and then I'm selling the odd CAD. So it's not really a perfect hedge, but it means that I'm buying and selling odd Australian dollars though, which could help me in a bit, especially when this trade goes a bit more against me potentially. So I'm not too against that this trade. Looking for about 30 pips profit there. Uh, I might still be able to enter the UJ if my take profit level is not hit. So if it doesn't hit up here, if the price doesn't go up there and heads back down, my pending order may execute. Yeah, Vin, HQ. Well, the thing is that I'm still going to be talking about counter trend trading. I mean, I just took a counter trend trade right now. So when they look good, I'll take them. This one is really quite good. I mean, just let's talk about it a little bit more. Resistance, right near a half number. So 1.015. Resistance, same resistance. Resistance again, and pullback happening as we speak. All right, and let's see if that same place has been hit before, even in the past. I bet you it has, yep, right here. So it's a pretty strong, significant level, and I'll take it. Let's see if it holds over the longer term, at least for the next 30 pips. So yeah, counter trend trading. It won't be something that I talk about completely. So I may change my title a little bit, but we'll still be talking about counter trend trades. Okay. Who's long? Who's long on the pound? I'm not long on the pound. Uh, I wouldn't be buying pound right now. There were two opportunities today, but I wouldn't have taken them. Still staying away from the pound in general. I probably will see how things go next week. Maybe I'll go back into it. Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, NFX. I mentioned this a couple of times that my counter trend trading actually works pretty well in a market that's not in such turmoil or trending so heavily. As you can see, I talked about this earlier in the stream, that my results were really, really very nice in the first 4 months, or first, yeah, 3 to 4 months, and then it started getting choppy after that. So the counter trend trading can work, and it just depends on how you do it. It also depends on the market condition as well. And so yeah, I'm tapering off on that. Um, Speaking of tapering, the news that happened yesterday, so the big whipsaw during the jockey's speech, uh, the news on that, let's see if I can pull that up before I go. The central bank lifted its. Okay, so Mario Draghi said that there was no discussion on extending the QE, triggering the high spike, the spike higher. That's when it went up. Yet within the press conference, it was clear that they didn't discuss tapering either, or in fact anything in regards to that. So that means that the people found that as negative, that there wasn't a hard um, stop date uh, for uh, for the QE stopping its bonds. Um, so therefore, it people took it negatively, and then the spike happened, and then the fall right after that. Um, so unfortunately, that's what I got stuck in. I could have closed out for close to break even. I think it was in a slight loss still at that point, um, but it was close. I was not expecting that to happen, the pushback down, but you know those things happen. People were saying, "Oh, you should have pulled out here when it moved up," and I disagreed because at that point when it was launching up and it looked like the euro was going to be positive from the news from what Draghi was saying, and then during the questions it dropped pretty heavily right after that. So surprise, it was a surprise on that, and it was very deceiving. It was one of the worst things that could happen to me in my trade. So if he would have said uh, that we don't have that we're not extending the bonds through past March, he did say that. But then the tapering issue, where they said that they have potential to move it past that, caused a lot of uh, inconsistencies and fear that they are not looking as good as they're saying in the European Union. So the surprise got me. It was very tricky read during the speech, the press conference. All right, so moving on from there, those things happen. Where all I needed was I was probably only going to hold for another 10 or 15 pips, and just didn't have the luck on my side to get that to make that happen. It was really close though. Yeah, 10 to 15 pips. I would have been out with a small profit, um, and just didn't happen. All right, so our trade's looking pretty good right now. Just in about 7 pips profit. The AUD/USD having a bit of a pullback right now, but it's close to my second entry. Okay, look at the UCAD one more time, and it continues to, I guess, bounce back and forth on this level in a very, very tight range, on pretty much the range on the 5-minute chart. Now let's see if we can get any hints on what's happening here. We still have about 40 minutes left, but if this candle closes inside as a bearish candle, I would probably expect the retracement to happen. Right now, it's hard to say. The current candle, I would like for it to close below the previous lows here. So I'd like the candle body to close another 10 pips or so from where it is, and that could indicate maybe the retracement starting on the downside. Right now, I would still be long though. All right, guys. Anything else? What's your average pip target? Um, my average pip target is typically 30 to I would say probably 25 to 50 pips. In some cases, I'll take more. Like for example, my profit target on the Euro CAD was 100 pips, but I changed that out yesterday. So it will change depending on how price behaves. Yeah, it looks like the UCAD found a new home. Apparently, it's just sitting up here. All right, let's see. Looking at YouTube one last time. Uh, see if there's anything else that's been said. Okay, yeah, good question. Oh, it's 2 million on YouTube. Ryan, what are your rules? You seem to second guess yourself often. Like if your rules say enter, then enter. Are you following your rules? That's the tricky thing is that you can second guess your entries. I say you can't really second guess your exit though. Um, I mean, it is tricky to know when to exit, but usually I have a hard, uh, I set myself for a hard stop loss at 7%. But if I do see that there's potential for the market continuing against me, then I'll pull a little early. Some people might think that that's emotional trading, but that's not emotional trading. That means that you're pulling your loss as a preventative action for the potential for more loss. But entries, I think you can kind of play that out. This is starting to look more on the bearish side to me, by the way. Uh, for example, on the EuroCAD, it's the reason why I was second guessing this. Is because I wasn't sure if I wanted to take this position. It's a counter trend, and I'm already in on the Australian dollar already. Uh, is there enough volatility still left in the market for this to push down? Is this a good entry? I'm taking everything into consideration. Is this there's a bearish Harami candle or inside candle. So I'm taking all my things into consideration. Now, this is the benefit of you guys watching me is that you can actually see what my thought process is of if I'm wanting to take a trade or not. And my rule base is pretty standard, which means if it's counter trend, I look to take a position at the resistance point or wherever the support resistance points are. And at this case, I could have just popped one right here and entered. But I was a little bit late. I didn't see this position until this candle was near where it was, and I might have waited anyways just to see what this candle did and if it closed and how it reacted to the previous candle. So you guys get to see my entire thought process of how I take trades and what causes me to enter them. It's better than just saying, oh, there's an entry, I'm just going to enter it blindly. I have to take everything into consideration to make sure that it's a good opportunity. At least in my book of rules that I have. And rules can be changed. I don't want to say they can be ignored or broken, but they can be modified because my rule base is still the same. but I may change them based on what's happening in the price. Every trade looks different. Every trade looks different, so it's important to evaluate each trade in the best way you can by taking not just one thing into consideration, but taking multiple, uh, I guess, aspects for evaluation, just like I did here. I looked at to see if this R1 level at 1.0135 was a good level. I saw initially just close up that this was a nice swing level. It was a new high. This is a double top showing some potential on the downside. I looked on that same support level to see if it was a place where in the history in previous history where it bounced off of or used as a support resistance level, and it did. So that's my evaluation, and I do have a rule base, but I do modify those rules based on the trade that I'm receiving. Um, and I will modify those rules in the loss side too, depending on usually on the loss side, it's dependent upon the fundamental side. If the fundamental is going against me in a big way, where the USD is really strong and may continue, then it's probably wise to cut losses before they get worse. But it has to be a wise uh, evaluation though, and it can't be abrupt because then it's just emotional trading. The things that you do have to have reason behind them. Yeah. Contact me privately, Adam Zamet, through YouTube. I don't want to place my personal email address in YouTube with a bunch of people watching. So if you can send me a private message on YouTube, and we can talk, and I can give you my email through there. Other than that, I don't feel comfortable putting an email address on a live stream. Right now, what would be a good area to enter a long on the EU? I followed it all the way down, and now should be finding a support region. It's really hard to say, John. Right now, the fundamental uh, news is still driving the price down. Um, I don't foresee anything changing that, at least not today. You might not even get a big retracement today. Looking at the news next week, okay, so there's another speech by Draghi on Tuesday that could change some things. There's also, that was looking like the biggest news on the euro next week. Okay, so that might do something for the euro. But right now, I'm not seeing a lot to really change the bias here. And the support levels are really weak. They're not seeing a whole lot. Like this one here and this one, they are seeing bounces. Sorry, the whole number. Did I say the whole numbers? But I mean the support levels. Not seeing a lot of bounces when they should be. So too much selling pressure on the euro US dollar right now. I'd be looking for a retracement and then a trend continuation at this point. Okay. All right, guys, that's it for today. No more questions, and I'll pick things up on Monday at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see how the recovery goes, and I'll let you keep you posted on the changes that I'm making that I feel like will be positive, how things are going with taking more trades with the trend, if I'm using an EA or not at that point. As you can see, my testing is still going well. I still need to make a few more modifications, but that could help my recovery, speed up my recovery process. Um, and then just slow and steady from there. That's pretty much the goal. Well, thanks guys for watching and for your words of confidence, and thanks for sticking with me. And And I hope that you're getting some good tips, at least from me. I'm hoping that that is good enough for you, even though my results may be suffering a bit right now. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. See you later. Bye.